Okay, so to start out with, um, what do you guys think it would be like to work at as a TSA agent?
Sounds like really high stress.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? It was
Yeah,
like
I'm a people
fun.
person. I probably enjoy the visiting, and the constant movement. But I think that having that kind of responsibility of making sure that nothing got past me, I think would be stressful.
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like a job in which you can only fail. It's like, I mean, I guess they did give a few examples of people really catching someone and or really getting recognized, but
I guess that's kind of true. Like, there's not really a whole lot of room for like success. I don't know. Because it's just your job to make sure people don't get through that aren't,
yeah.
so it's just not really a whole lot of.
I mean, if you're doing, and it's kind of like, and so I mean, I kind of understand it because I'm in the security myself, and so it's kind of like, yeah, if everything is going great, or if you're doing everything right, then it's just kind of normal. That's like kind of the minimum, and anything that goes wrong, and then
And then, yeah, that's when you
then
hear something.
you're a failure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And it also talked about how it took years for them to move up at all. And to me, that would be discouraging to do the same thing day in and day out with not really a lot of hope of any kind of advancement or recognition or
Yeah.
I think that would be discouraging.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so too. Um,
There she is.
but what? Sorry.
Hello.
Okay. How are you?
Good. I guess I never saw your first link or whatever. I don't know what happened.
That's okay. I'm glad you saw it though.
Mhm.
The other time.
Okay,
So,
let's see what.
we're just talking about what we think it would be like to be a TSA agent.
I think it'd be hard. It'd be boring. I don't know, maybe not boring, but like I think you get tired of looking at stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Seeing the same thing, socks, shirts, pants, socks, shirts, pants. I don't know.
Kind of doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And yet you'd be happy to see the same thing because then you know everything's okay. But it would be very monotonous.
I agree.
That's true. If it's all the same, everything's okay.
I think that it's like I don't know, I read somewhere like people who watch on a conveyor belt, like products in a factory or something, they're watching and you're supposed to like take the potatoes for example. You're looking at all these potatoes and making sure that they're all good and it's hard to pick out the bad ones when you see so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they did like an experiment where they would put like a tennis ball, randomly throw in a tennis ball and see if they would catch the tennis ball.
Huh.
And would they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They would catch the tennis ball, and so they would do that more often to keep them alert. Yeah.
I used to work it was just a very short amount of time because I was trying to save up money for something I was trying to get, but I worked at a factory where they made styrofoam plates. And it
Wow.
was so bad. I mean, it was so bad, but I would dream about it. So I
Oh,
would work, and I had like these weird shifts where I'd have to work the day shift, and then I'd have to work the night shift the next day, and then it was just all over the place. And then I would dream about it all night long, and so it was like I'd never left, and I just couldn't get any sleep, and it was horrible. But it was a conveyor belt of these white styrofoam plates that would come out. And my job was to look at the tab, because there was a little tab for every 25, put it in a bag, and then a box, and then I would grab the next 25. And so I was just watching these white plates come out of this conveyor belt for hours and hours and hours.
Oh, man.
It was awful.
Oh, I bet. Did you ever find yourself counting them?
Yeah, and my feet hurt so bad, and it was just horrible. But luckily, I only did it for a couple of months. I was trying to save up for something, and it was an extra job I was doing. But it was like I couldn't believe the people that did that for year in and year out. I just
Years.
couldn't believe
Wow.
it.
Yeah. Crazy. So it asks if anyone has had this job before.
Mhm.
No.
Dan's kind
No.
of in security, he was saying, but
Yeah, not like that.
nothing like it. Okay, what do you guys think that you like or dislike? We kind of talked about it, but
I think it would be interesting to people watch and just see lots of different people, especially from different countries and stuff. I think it would just be interesting, but you don't really have time to sit and visit with them.
that's true.
They would just
It'd be very,
pass by you so fast.
yeah, it'd be very busy. Just people coming in, people going, real fast. Not a whole lot of interaction.
Might be interesting to see, something different in a suitcase. You might wonder why they had it.
That'd be your highlight of the day.
Yeah. Your special find.
That's kind of fun. Whoever can find the coolest thing in their suitcase.
Yeah.
Oh,
The workers. Okay.
But in the reading, it said that you were really kind of on your own, because you couldn't really make friends even with your coworkers, because people were going by so fast you couldn't stop and visit with even your coworkers. So that would suck.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a very friendly environment. I don't know. Maybe it was friendly, but
Well, the last time I went through a terminal, I remember trying to talk to the guy, but it's more like he's looking down, he doesn't even look at you, and he just nods,
yeah.
yeah.
What should O'Reilly do about Sanchez?
Does it ever say what he let slip by?
Yeah. A guy with a suitcase. He ran past him. Right?
Yeah, it was like a blue backpack or something.
Yeah, blue bag.
And everybody died.
They did not.
Now, if
No.
anybody died, I think that would be a completely other story of what she should do.
I was really back and forth on this one about how strict they should be on this guy, because I still don't know, because I'm still kind of back and forth on it, because
Well, what if it would have been a bomb? What if it was a bomb?
yeah.
Yeah, that was my first thought. What if it really was a terrorist? Then, you'd probably terminate him. So is that fair that it wasn't? Would you still terminate him?
I am, yeah. Well,
And I mean, and for just what did happen, he delayed all these flights, and that affected their airport, and it affected lots of other airports across the country, and so that's a big impact that he made.
and I think with him being on his cell phone was a big deal too.
Yeah, did you read the fine print at the bottom? I was trying to... Policy forbids using cell phones on the job except in the case of a personal emergency after the notification of the supervisor.
Where does it say that? Because I was looking for something like that.
It is on page 6.
Oh,
And
there it is.
Yep.
'Cause
Right after it says the phone call only lasted a few minutes. And then it says what the policy is for phones. So he knew better.
Yeah, so that's why I was going back. I was on the one hand, I mean, because the case for him is that he's a guy that apparently is can be really good at the job and really likes the job, and that's the kind of guy that you want to keep on it. On the other hand, you're only good, based on what you do, and if this is what this guy does, then no, apparently he's not good at the job because he didn't do a good job, and
Well, and it's not his first offense either.
It's not.
No, where did I read that?
I read something about how he had failed some test or something earlier.
yeah, he had to get
Uh-huh.
recertified about
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
Yep, he had to be
And
recertified.
how often does he use his phone? I mean, do they
Yeah.
know that? Is it just did he just get caught this time?
That's what I was thinking too. It's like, well, this is the time he got caught, but how about all the other times when it was just a couple minutes and just, when no one was looking and nobody caught this time? And who knows, maybe a bunch of other blue bags were running by this time because the only person who told was another passenger.
Right.
I don't, if I'm going out, I don't know if I would say anything.
Well, and I was looking at like Exhibit 3 where it shows the breakdown of who's over who, and there is one lead person over the exit lane monitor. So he had one lead over him. Where was that lead? That was my other question. Because it doesn't tell us in the story where the lead was, but he should have had a supervisor over him.
And why was it the lady? Was it this what's her name? I can't remember. Maya lady?
The Mina? I don't know. No, it wasn't her. But there should have, I know it shows that, or said in there that they rotate positions so that they don't get tired of the same thing over and over. But there should be one lead over his position. So it makes me wonder, where was that lead? Why did the lead miss the guy with the blue bag as well? Why did it take a customer?
I don't know if it means that there's one lead that is sitting right next to the guy. I think
I think it did. It said that there was X amount of TSOs, one LTSO and one whatever it is, STS whatever the one above him.
What is it? Yeah. Yeah, if you look at Exhibit 3, it tells you how many are over each.
They're supposed to be at every checkpoint.
Yeah, see, there's a LTSO over the travel and X-ray, one lead over the metal detector, one lead over the exit lane, and then there's one lead over the pat down and the explosive tracing device.
so. Is that over for each person, or is that just for each department?
So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 4 leads, and 2 supervisors.
Well, how would they have gotten through all those people anyways? All the different checkpoints and everything, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, one, he's not supposed to be on a cell phone, but I know the others are busy looking in suitcases and x-rays and stuff like that, but how does somebody with a big blue bag get past everybody?
that's true.
And only one, I don't know what to call him. I want to say customer, I guess. I don't know what to call him. But how does only one customer out of all those people waiting to go through see the one person and it takes 5 minutes to make a announcement? I don't know. This makes me curious.
I'm also curious to know why he's the only one that's being reprimanded, or it's his responsibility. I mean, obviously he's the lead over the area that he's at, so it must be his responsibility.
If I'm looking at this diagram, I only see one LTSO on here. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit further down. It kind of shows a map of
Right.
the layout. So, I mean, he's the only one that's he's supposed to keep people from walking. It's when you're walking out, and his only job is to keep people from walking back this way.
Right.
Hmm.
Oh, I guess they're called travelers.
I think the issue was that he was on his phone.
I do too.
Oh, absolutely,
He
yeah.
shouldn't have been. And he knew. He knew it.
I mean, it would be one thing if like there was a big accident and it's like, oh, he got distracted for a second because a lady was having a baby 10 feet away, but no, he was on his phone making a personal phone call. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't like an emergency phone call either.
hmm
Remind your daughter to do their homework so we can go play this afternoon. It's not an emergency.
So where are you guys landing on this thing about what they should do with him?
Well, that's really where we're at. Is it a disciplinary action or is it termination?
I'm almost leaning towards, I hate to say it, but I'm almost leaning towards termination because it's not the first time he's had an issue. I mean, he might be a great guy, but how many of the other TSOs are going to think they can get away with something? Why should he get away with something because he's a single parent? I couldn't get away with it. I would be in trouble for it.
Yeah.
I think I'm
And
kind of
the
leaning.
fact that it could have been something deadly.
No. I think I'm kind of leaning towards termination as well, just because it was like he knew he wasn't supposed to be on his phone. And it's not his first offense, and also that, like, what would it be putting off on all the other workers that it's like okay to be slacking and not being there, like doing their job to the fullest, you know? I don't know. It's kind of what I think.
And I think that if it wasn't a life-threatening job, it could be different. But because it is, I mean, it's security, it's national security. They kind of have to be held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
It's true. Okay. Was the security breach entirely Sanchez's fault? Why or why not? We kind of talked about that because I think, like, it was kind of, how did that guy get through all those people?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only one guy. He's the only one guy watching.
Was he the only one? But wouldn't he have to go through, like,
Don't they go through checkpoints before they even get to them?
before he can actually go on the plane, he'd have to go through different checkpoints and stuff.
But aren't they the very first line of defense, though?
Well, so if you look at this map, he's only bypassing these X-ray machines. He's not like he's getting from the sidewalk and then stepping directly onto the plane. I mean, the only thing that he's bypassing is kind of the security area. And then, he goes to the gate and he still has his boarding pass and his thing and he shows it to them and he gets on the plane.
Yeah.
He's just missing this one. What do they call it?
So it looks like the diagram, there's a TSO and then the X-ray operator. And then you have the metal detectors and operators at the metal detectors.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that he's skipping is the metal detectors and the pat down and all that stuff.
And I'm sure
Well, how did you get past that?
well, if you're looking at those X-rays, though, you're staring at the X-ray to see if somebody's got something hidden inside them.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
this is a hallway here. He goes in this hallway. I mean, it's not like they're right next to these guys over here. I mean, it looks like they're right next to him, but it's like there's a corridor that he's walking down.
yeah. Well, and I think that you have motion from other people. You've got the travelers who are waiting in line to go next, and then you've got travelers coming through, all at once. So, like, you see a movement. I don't know how hard it is to catch a movement out of the corner of your eye when you're trying to concentrate on something else at the same time.
So do you think that it was entirely his fault then? You guys think so?
What was it? What's the question?
I don't think it was entirely his fault because there is a lead and a supervisor too. But I think it's mostly his fault because he knew better than to make a phone call on a cell phone. They're not allowed.
He should have been watching.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think it's his fault.
even if he was talking to his daughter, why can't he be watching? Why did he turn around? You know, he turned his back.
Maybe he didn't want people to see he was on his phone, so he like turned his back.
So he knew better, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
In what ways did the TSA contribute to the breach?
Well, I mean, they're saying that if we say that he's the only one there watching, I mean, they could have another guy watching if it's, but I mean, how many guys do you need if one guy is just, if he does his job? I don't know how they contributed other than that.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But
I don't see a TSA on the diagram, do you?
TSA is the organization.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, I don't think that they're responsible. I mean, I guess if they didn't train him, but it sounds like that they
well,
he
he
has to go.
like he knew better, right? Like
They had a policy in place. He knew about the policy.
Well, how long has he worked there? So he's worked there since 2001. When does this take place?
I don't know.
At least 2008, because it talks about that too.
I thought somewhere he could have been promoted and he chose not to because he liked where he worked.
Yeah, he did say that.
it wasn't there.
So yeah, I mean,
For a
he should have
while.
known better.
Yeah. So what could have TSA have done better to prevent this situation?
It looks like he'd been there 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been there long enough to definitely know.
Uh-huh.
Well, maybe crack down on cell phone use.
Yeah, maybe have some guy, because he's not, I guess, accountable. He doesn't to anybody right now. If there's nobody watching him, directly or coming by and checking on him. So, or maybe they need to be doing the more security audits. Maybe have a guy try to get past them every once in a while. And so if he's really watching, he's like, oh, that there's some guy's going to try to get past me. Of course, that'll freak everybody out if somebody does that.
No, it does. It actually does talk about how they do tests to see if it gets through.
I'm just really curious because according to like Exhibit 3 where it says the group organizational structure, it says that like there's 6 TSOs and 4 leads and 2 supervisors, but then you flip it over and look at the diagram or Exhibit 4, you see the layout. And like Dan said, I only see one LTSO, so where's the rest of the leads that are supposed to be there?
Is that per airport or is that per terminal? Is that per what is it per? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, is there...
Where are the leads positioned?
Well, maybe it's just referring to the department, like the exit lane monitor department all reports to LTSO.
One lead.
I don't know.
Yeah, because the exit lane monitor only has one lead over him. I mean, that lead is responsible for that exit lane monitor. So that's what kind of made me curious. Where's he at in this picture? So, and I'm not sure.
Well, isn't Sanchez the lead?
No.
No.
What is his position?
TSO.
Oh, he's just a TSO?
Yep.
Huh.
Well, maybe they could have like, well, maybe they could have certain people, like the lead people, go every couple weeks or whatever, and just like go observe people and how they're doing at their job. I don't know. And then maybe they would be able to see, oh, this person's not watching very good, or if they're on their phone or whatever. Maybe they just need to take time out of their busy life and go see if everyone's doing their job right. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is try to find a way, try to put some accountability, make them accountable for, their jobs, and let them know that somebody's going to be checking on them. If they know that nobody's going to be checking on them, then
Yeah, that's
of
true.
course
That's
that's a lot,
wholesome.
it's more expense.
Well, do they have a security camera anyway over the whole deal? So somebody like a lead could be watching, or a supervisor could even be watching a security camera somewhere.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But there's nobody, yeah, so, yeah.
I mean,
The
yeah.
security camera just watching the guy. So the guy's watching the people, the camera's watching the guy.
Yeah. I don't know.
But who's going to watch the guy that's going to watch the camera? That's what we need to get down to.
The supervisor.
Great plan. Love it.
Nah.
Next question.
So, what could TSA do to make the TSA job more meaningful?
Oh, that's a hard one.
So, do you think that he didn't think that it was like meaningful? Is that why he was on his phone?
Maybe that's why he likes his job so much, is that he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. No one's watching him, so he can be on his phone all he wants.
I think I can't remember all the details, but I saw this John Stossel report one time about because the TSA is a government agency, and it was about this other privately owned security company that was a lot more efficient, and the employees were a lot happier. Can't remember what they did about it though.
Maybe they got paid better.
Yeah, that would be one thing.
But just like last week, sometimes compensation is not just about money.
Mm-hmm.
So recognition and things like company parties and employee of the month, or just ways that they can give them incentives to try harder, and definitely focus on the positive, like we read on for this week. Definitely, instead of always only bringing up when bad things happen, but really focusing on the positive makes them want to try harder. Give them something to look forward to, because the job sounds awful.
Yeah.
It's true.
I wonder if they could, I don't know, maybe if they watched like videos of, like do some training and watch some security videos of people getting away with stuff and the consequences of it. I don't know.
Or maybe just like telling a story about what really happened to someone. Like, oh, this guy, he was on his phone and he wasn't watching, and this guy past him, Maybe it would impact someone to just tell them a real story that it really does happen.
Exactly.
So, so what percentage of the breach was Sanchez's fault, and what percentage was the TSA's fault, do you guys think?
I think it was Sanchez almost completely.
90%.
Yeah, I know that I see they're trying to emphasize or try to get something about the TSA, but I'm really not seeing it. So, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. It seems like he was on his phone with his back turned to the people. He had one job to do. And like I said, that was the lowest thing that he could be doing. That was the easiest thing. That's where they put the people who
Yeah.
don't know how to do anything else.
Right.
True. Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to promote him or demote him, I guess, to that position because obviously he can't handle that
Yeah.
one either.
It's like, as a punishment for doing this job poorly, you are going to do this job forever.
You're never getting promoted. Oh man.
So his lead,
That'll boost morale.
Sure.
yeah. I mean, something has to happen to him. He's got to have some kind of a punishment because he knew better.
Great. All right, guys. We're gonna role play.
Yay!
Should I get my dice?
Well, we need a man to play Sanchez. So I wonder who that's gonna be. Okay. So
I hate being typecast.
and then a woman to play O'Reilly. So, Teresa, do you want to play her?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ask the team members to observe and think about how well O'Reilly does.
So am I Sanchez? Is that what's happening?
What?
Am I
Yes.
Sanchez?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You be Sanchez.
I mean, we implied that, I think, but I was just...
Oh. Sorry. I think I asked it when someone else was talking, so it probably didn't come across very good. But is that okay if we be Sanchez for us?
It's the part I was born to play.
Okay, good. Okay, so tell the person acting as O'Reilly that this is the moment when Sanchez is showing up for work. She needs to tell him what her decision is. Then have them do the role play. Give them about 7 minutes.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Hang on a second. Let me get into character here. Oh, Mina. Good morning. Oh, you look beautiful today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you could meet with me.
How's your family doing?
My family is doing great. And yours?
Oh, you know what? They're doing okay. They're struggling a little bit. I think they might have, be getting sick, actually. I might need to be taking them to the hospital. I'm really appreciating those employee benefits that I'm taking advantage of.
Oh, I'm glad you appreciate that. So the reason you are here.
Yeah, it's really saving my life right now. I don't know what I would do without it. It's, oof. Anyway.
So we need to discuss the breach that happened the other day.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. It'll never happen again. I've totally learned my lesson. I'm gonna keep my cell phone in my locker. Oh, it's such a temptation. But you know what? I'm better than that. And I want to thank you for understanding.
You have been with this company for 8 years, and I know you understand the policy, and I know you understand procedures. We've worked well together. I know your character, and
Thank you.
the fact is, you're welcome. The fact is that there is a rule about cell phones, and you chose not to follow that rule.
Yep, you're 100% right, and I'm so sorry. And you know what? I'm going to destroy my cell phone. I don't even want to look at a cell phone for the rest of my life.
I realize that. Do you realize the impact it has on other travelers, the 45-minute delay?
Yeah, that's totally unacceptable, and like I said, it's just never going to happen again. And I just, I'm just so grateful that you're such a forgiving and kind, loving person that you are.
Well, I'm glad you think that way of me, but this has been a really hard decision and I've thought about it a lot. However, I'm gonna have to terminate your position.
Oh, Mina, Mina, what have you done? Listen, you don't have to do that. Let's,
Oh.
let's,
Is this
we
the
don't, we can,
first time that we have had an issue?
yeah.
No, you just had training and counseling.
Yeah, that was unrelated, that was, I had kidney problems. That's what that was about. This is
Were,
totally
were
different.
were policies discussed at that time as well?
I don't think so. I think this is the first time. I can't.
I think maybe you were on your cell phone and not paying attention to that training.
Mina, how could you? My daughter. What am I going to tell my daughter? Oh,
You
I
know,
gotta take.
I'm not sure what you're going to tell your daughter.
Oh,
That will be your decision.
oh no, Mina, I got to tell you something. My daughter's been kidnapped, and
Is that what
and
was in the blue bag?
no, I was on the phone with the kidnappers trying to negotiate her release.
But I think
And
you should
they
tell
said
your daughter.
if I told anyone, they would hurt her. And I'm trusting you, Mina, not to tell anyone about this. Please,
Oh,
please
man.
don't violate my trust.
Well,
I
you
think you should teach your daughter about responsibility and about telling the truth.
Who's that? Who said that?
Oh man. You're cracking me up. Oh, that was so funny.
I'm surprised you didn't go on and on more about being a single parent.
Oh, I guess I could have done that. Yeah.
That's funny. That was good. Good job, guys.
We did a good job firing him anyway.
thank you.
Yeah, he made it
Sure.
hard for you. I thought it was hard. He's like,
Good
wow.
arguments, though.
Well, I was trying to focus on the issue, and I'm sorry that you have excuses, but the issue is there was a big problem that could have been bigger.
All right, Esther. Let's see. Tell what you noticed about what was going on here.
I felt like that there were a lot of excuses made, and she stood her ground and was able to ride over it and still very respectfully handle the issue and still follow through with what she needed to do without any personal attacks or any, just saying this is what happened. You had the training, you were given the instructions, and you made the choice not to follow them.
Yeah.
And put the responsibility on him that it was his choice and he chose, and so now he basically gets to choose that he that has to kind of has to take the consequences of his choices. But there was never any personal attacks or anything, and that I think Dan did a great job of making excuses and apologizing, because that's really kind of where you're at, where you're just like, I know I screwed up, but I know it won't ever happen again. But instead of her, saying, okay, you're right, because she did like him. She felt like he was a friend.
Mm-hmm.
She was really struggling with having to do what she had to do. And so just being able to just kind of say, I am sorry, But your choices are where we're at, not because of me not liking you. So I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys did a really good job. Do we think that she did the right thing? I think we kind of covered that we did think so.
Of course.
Yeah. Is there anything that we would have done differently that should have been done differently? I don't think so. You guys think so?
I think I might have called in the lead as well, and maybe talked to the lead, who should have been over him, to ask if they noticed. I wouldn't let them slip by at all either. I'd want to talk to them if they noticed him on his cell phone and how many times they've noticed it and why they didn't take care of an issue.
Or let someone know that he's on his phone a lot or something if he knew, or yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I like in I think it was the Discipline Without Punishment article, they talked about when you're talking with somebody, to explain, not just, this is against the rules, but also explain, and also this is kind of the business aspect of why this policy is in place. And so,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I just say, oh yeah, this is a policy violation. You can say, oh, not, it was, big exposure to safety, and not only that, but flights were delayed here, these airports are experiencing delays and really cost a lot of money here, and there, and all these delays which backed up everything across the country. And this is not something, I don't know, something, so some like real world type
And I
application.
think it was a huge reality check for him of what could happen if
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like, I mean, they probably talked till they're blue in the face that this could happen. This is, this could have a chain reaction to this, and this. But when it actually did happen, I think a lot of people that probably just heard what could happen, all of a sudden it was reality to them, and not just to him, but all the other TSOs that see what does happen when there's a breach.
Especially since that airport was the airport for 9/11. That's what I was interested to read.
Well, yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, does stuff like that happen all the time? Or, I mean, like security breaches and stuff? Mm. So, what was difficult to say in the conversation, Teresa?
Well, if it's, somebody you have worked with for a long time and you have a relationship with your coworkers, and it sounds like Sanchez is a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
And I think, and knowing his background as single parent, trying to take care of kids and raise them, that's difficult too. And so to terminate someone, you still worry about them because you have a relationship with them. How are they going to get along? Trying to find a new job and take care of his family at the same time. So that would be really tough to terminate somebody like that.
Especially after 8 years.
Yeah.
Know someone.
But I guess you have to take, into effect it. I guess the thing that comes to me, this is kind of weird, but I guess like Nephi, the words that Christ told Nephi, it's better to terminate Laban than for a whole nation to fall. So it would.
Well, if it would have been a bomb, would there have been any question?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's true.
So you're taking a big risk.
Okay. How would you tell someone you respect and care for that he is not performing? You did a really good job of telling him of telling him that like that he knew the the rules and the protocol and that he just broke them. And you did a good job.
I think.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you have to be really clear and very because if you really respect them, and then it's got to, you got to be careful to show that and not try to be like condescending or whatever, but just be really clear about this is the performance that is expected, and this is in the area that you are deficient, that is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if I had had more time to write this all out.
No, I actually thought what you did was what you said was really good. So
Yeah, but I also agree with Daniel. It needed to be more, like this is what we expect, this is what happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think putting the responsibility back on him. What would you do if you were in my position?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
What would you do if somebody, a subordinate under you, basically did the same thing and a bomb got through, or something, a gun, or anything got through? What would you do if you know?
That
And
would
if he was being honest, he'd have to say, "I'd have to let him go."
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I
and you
think
might
he'd
be
do
willing
that,
to, yeah, you might be willing, what are those letters called? Write oh, I forgot what those letters are called. Yeah,
FBI.
yeah. No, you might write a letter for him to help him find a new job that maybe wasn't so,
recommendation letter or something.
yeah, like a recommendation letter, yeah. To help him find a new job that wasn't so dangerous. I don't know.
Maybe it was something that you thought he could handle better, or
Yeah.
like a phone center.
Yeah.
He could be the guy behind the camera watching the other guys that.
I
to
mean,
see if
because he's
they're
not
on their
totally
side.
he's not totally all that bad. I mean, he's a good guy. He made a mistake, anxious for something. I mean, we do it.
Yeah.
But it should have been done on a break, or maybe they don't get breaks. I don't know. But
So, is this hard to do? To tell
yes.
someone? Yeah. It would be so hard. Like even when Dan was talking, I was like, man, I don't know if I'd be able to even tell him that I had to let him go.
Yeah, I think
Soft,
the
be like,
more that you have a relationship with a person, then the harder it gets.
Yeah.
And you really do have empathy for the guy.
true.
Yeah, his daughter got kidnapped. I mean,
Well,
But don't tell anyone. It's confidential.
it's crazy.
Okay.
taken.
So I think we've all kind of come to the conclusion that what we would do, like our final decision, what we would do to him, right?
I don't know. It's kind of turning me around on this. Maybe just stepping into the guy's shoes.
Oh man.
No, that's okay. We can do that.
So we're gonna drag it out till you get on board, or what?
No, it's fine. I can fall in line.
Is that what you guys think though? I mean, do we all agree that he should be fired? Or
Yeah, that's where I.
what do you think, Dan? These are the other options. It has put Sanchez on probation, or give Sanchez a paid leave, or require Sanchez to receive additional training.
Yeah, honestly, I do keep going around and around, but I always kind of tend toward the termination option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Do you want to know what happened to Sanchez?
Yeah.
Okay, he got a warning, but wasn't fired. However, 2 months later, he caused another serious breach.
Oh,
jeez.
no.
Yeah. When I read that, I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh man. Okay, so
Was he on,
Yeah.
was he on his phone again?
it doesn't say. That's all it says.
See, that's the problem with, you're letting somebody off because they're like, well, now if it happens again, now it's on me, man.
True. Like you should have fired him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. So would you guys fire him this time?
No question.
I know. Okay. What does this case teach us about discipline? You guys
Well,
are making me so laugh so
I
much.
think about Christ, like probably the hardest thing he had to do. He had two children, one went one direction and one went the other, and what did he have to do to his own child? Because, Satan doesn't have a body, he can't. But then Christ, it seems like Christ gets all the glory. He really doesn't. He did it for Heavenly Father. So I think when we discipline our own children, it's like, I understand, but at the same time, I have to follow the rules. If I tell my child that, if you don't clean your room, you can't go to your friends, I can't say, well, it's okay this time, because next time he's not going to clean it either.
True. Yeah, you have to follow through with things.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you have that policy put into place, it's a policy for a reason. And if people are going to break it, you have to follow through. I mean, that's all there is to it. Or everyone's going to think, oh, they didn't fire him, so it's fine. I'm on my phone,
Yeah. Yeah.
And just
Kind of
like
called that.
before, it's a life and death job.
Yeah.
True.
I think it's called tough love, You have to be the bad guy sometimes, but in the end, it was for the best.
Yeah. He wouldn't have caused another security breach if she would have just fired him the first time.
Yeah.
So, okay. Are you guys ready to wrap up?
Wrap
Yes.
it up.
Yeah. What about our doohickeys?
Okay. Well, wants me to ask these questions real quick. So,
Okay.
what's the most important thing that you learned from this case? I think for me, it would probably be how we just were talking about following through with things and like that there's a policy for a reason. And that we have to put that policy into place and we have to show people that the policy is there and you have to follow it or, you're going to be terminated. You're going to have consequences. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's something I was thinking about too. Just kind of, you have to do the discipline. It doesn't have to be, a lot of people, they're like, that's the way they manage is to be really aggressive and loud and mean. I mean, but doing discipline. And in this case, maybe it wasn't a good example because they ended up just having to terminate him. But I mean, you hopefully you want to be, helping the people get better. You're not trying to, like it said in this other, article, build a case to fire them, which I have seen my bosses try to do. But yeah, so you just want to, hopefully, you're building an employee that is going to be good and happy and want to work there.
Focusing on the positive.
Mhm.
What do you guys rate the overall quality of our discussion?
10.
A 10.
10 out of 10.
Nice. What did you guys like about me as this discussion leader?
I liked how you came.
Hey, that's a sensitive subject. Okay.
That's half the battle, right?
All right. Well,
I like how you got us to role play, Kelsey. That was good. We were supposed to role play last week. I don't think it went so well.
really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really sad that I wasn't there.
You were doing something of importance.
It was not my intentions, I promise.
That's the only one that you've missed. You're doing just fine.
Okay. All right. Can I stop the broadcast now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good job.